All right, we back in the house. How you doing, schoolboy?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Oh man, we in it to win it as usual.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep. Good old Thursday. So
Yeah.
ain't
Busy,
nobody.
busy, busy, man.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yes. Crazy. Ain't nobody in here right now. I'm gonna kind of let them load up. Anything new in your
Okay.
world?
Nope. Same old thing. Just been up, down, all over the place, you know. But sometimes I act like it bothers me. It don't bother me. I love doing it. You know.
Yeah.
It's just that that's part of what we do. Keeps us busy.
That's
So
right.
I'm writing books. Selling merch. Do different podcasts. Do my own channel.
Hmm.
My daughter's helping me come up to date because I don't know none of that technical stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I have
Yeah.
a playlist, whatever that is.
Right. Just
Figure
organize
out.
your channel. Yeah, that's all it
Yeah,
is. Yeah,
there you go.
if you need something, holler at me. I know how to do a little bit of it. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Before we get into it, I know you're a boxing fan. What did you think about that Usyk and Tyson Fury fight? Did you watch it?
Yeah, yeah. I thought I was impressed. Lucy did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good.
What
Yeah.
what happens a lot of times is when you see upsets, especially nowadays, is that the fighters aren't fighting that much.
Hmm.
So because they're inactive, that can cause them to lose. Be part of the reason, not the only reason. And that's not taking nothing away from Usyk, but but that part of their inactivity is what leads to, because you lose your sharpness. Even
Yeah.
if you go back and train 3 or 4 months,
Hmm.
it's not the same as being active.
Right.
And if you
Right.
you compare it to them old guys, some of them fought once a week.
Yeah. They had a
So,
bunch of fight. I think
yeah,
though. I think Wild and Fury done beat up on each other too much though. I think they.
that has something to do with it too. And
Yeah.
that's why sometimes they take a long layoff, you know.
Hmm.
But it takes a lot out of you,
Yeah, it does.
and that's part of the reason. The fighters though, their longevity it's longer than it used to be, and it could be because they don't have as many fights, so they're not beat up that much. But at some point, it still catches up with you.
Yeah. Just like that Devin Haney Ryan Garcia fight.
Yeah.
That fight took a lot out of Devin. He ain't gonna it
Well,
shortened his career. I bet it did.
yeah, because like you said, you have your body remembers, your mind remembers, and some people it can make them a little gun shy after
Mhm.
that,
That's right.
especially if you get knocked out clean, it's not so bad, honestly,
Yeah.
and it's actually safer for you. But if you get beat up and then stopped or knocked out, that plays on your psyche a lot more because
Right.
you remember that pain and
Right.
that fatigue. So
Hmm.
there's a lot to it.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, let's get off into something else. I want to ask you something that I had never asked you before. Uh what makes a pit bull more unique than any other breed, in your opinion?
Well, the simple question is because of their historical background, what they originally bred for.
Hmm.
And it's not just the fighting aspect, it's everything that's involved with it. Because everything that's involved with it is directly related to their gameness, their ability, all that stuff.
Hmm.
And in today's world, whatever you do with the dog, the versatility that allows you to do different things is directly related to that past, including intelligence, gameness, ability, durability, toughness, focus, any kind of adjective you want to use. And because of that, that's part of the reason also why they're so versatile is because there's for gameness, for instance, there's a lot involved to what gameness is. It's in their mind, no doubt.
Hmm.
But why are they game? It's not just how they think or they don't want to quit. It has to do with their toughness and durability, their good air, their endurance. All that leads up to a is it's in all that stuff is involved in being a game dog. Because
Hmm.
if you got thin bone, you gonna you ain't gonna last. If you don't
Right.
have good air, if you don't have intelligence, if you don't have durability, all that physical stuff, and we debate over that sometimes because people just think it's mental, it's mental, it's mental. It don't matter. All that matters. Or else, why would you want durability and toughness and hard muscle and thick skin? So there's a correlation. But there's a correlation also, I believe, I don't know what science is. There's a correlation between their heart and their mind, and not just the correlation, they're two different things. They're both emotional. So when we say someone has heart, which means gameness, that heart is involved in that process. It's not just their mind. Their heart is a separate organ that has its own, I'm not going to say thinking ability, but it has its own way that it reacts to emotion, or has an adrenaline rush, or all these things that are involved in athleticism. And that's just my belief. I don't know if it's true or not, but why does that term, he has heart, or they have heart, or this has heart, why was that first, why do they use that term? I think there's a correlation.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's similarities between the two. How we think and how we feel is a direct result of how we're going to act or react.
Makes sense.
And with the pit bull, it's there's no other canine that does that to that extent. There's other breeds they fight and all that stuff, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to knock any other species, because any working dog, any working animal, any sporting animal has their definition of gameness. They're all game in their own, whatever they were bred for.
Mm-hmm.
Race horses, game fowl, racing pigeons, fighting bulls, greyhounds, hunting dogs. They have their own description or type of gameness.
Okay. What are some big misconceptions people get about pit bulls? I'm sure it's a ton of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I guess the main one would be, and it's starting to come around again, and it's a misconception put out by media and different entities, so the general public picks up on it and they believe it, that it's a man-killing, aggressive, man-biting, vicious dog. 99.9% of the time they're not. And there are some. And there's those types of individuals in anything. I've seen man-eater game fowl. I've seen man-eater horses try and bite somebody's face off. Just like I've seen horses fight till one killed the other. They're not playing around. Whatever triggered it, whether it's sex, whether it's territory, food, survival, whatever it is, these horses were going at it. They were biting each other, kicking each other, stomping each other, turning around, kicking with their back legs, with their front hooves, and biting. And I've seen one attack a man that way.
Oh,
they
wow.
tried to rehabilitate the horse, so they brought a trainer in, and the horse bit him in the face. Couldn't rehabilitate him. They had to put the horse down.
Oh,
Dangerous.
Wow. Yeah. What?
So I think that's the main one, is that they're vicious toward humans.
Yeah. I know one show we was talking, you was like, put the dog around children and you can see a lot about them, and they just act naturally and things. I know you was an advocate about that. What is it with dog and children? It's just the children don't want anything from the dog. They just kind of just almost like the kids stay with each other. Or what is it?
Yeah, that's I think there's that, and not just have kids around them, but raise them with kids, kids with dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you bring a new dog in, that's the first tell how they behave around your children. And there's something inherent in the dogs that it understands that it's a child. So they're less aggressive, they're more protective, they're less apt to accidentally hurt them, meaning stepping on them, pushing on them, knocking them down. And it's something and we've spoken about this in other chats, even on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost like you know how they say some dogs can tell if you have cancer or diabetes or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way with children. They know when they have autism. They know when they have when they're handicapped. And a lot of it has to do that the child is not a threat. There's no confrontation. Where an adult is different because we train them, we spend time with them, we make them behave sometimes and all that. So it's not, sometimes that can be a challenge with a dog for hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to teach them who's the alpha, if you want to say, right off the, who's in charge. With kids, it's not that way. They just act natural around them. The kids with the dog just another playmate or something they get along or something the kid wants to protect or take care of, feed them and pet them and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something inherent in both children and animals where they understand each other. And a lot of it could be pheromones. It could be the way the kid feels. They're putting off that energy, their aura. It could be the way the breathing, the heart rate that dogs can hear and sense that makes them that way with children.
Mm.
Even with my females, I could tell which ones were going to be the better female because I didn't have a problem with females and pups. I never had that problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the best females, how they acted with my children was a tell to let me know, yeah, she's going to be a good mama because they treat the kids like they're their children.
That's right. Yeah.
And then it'll correlate when they start having their own pups.
Right.
There's that connection.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
We had one female. She'd feed anything. Her pups, other dogs' pups, other females' pups, kittens. She was just a mother. So anything that was infantile, she would nurse it and take care of it, just like it was her own.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Being that the pit bull dog is a tough dog, inside out, how do you rate the upkeep of the pit bull overall? Is it hard, medium? How much can they take weather-wise? You know.
Yeah. Well, the upkeep, that's a good question. Because the animal is confined most of the time, they're more susceptible to disease, parasites, skin problems. So the upkeep has to be at a high level. But nutritionally wise, if they're lacking, they're not going to have a good immune system. They're going to be more susceptible to disease and injury and recuperating from, even if they have an accident, you know, if they pull a muscle or strain themselves. So nutrition is first. That's first and foremost. The breeding behind them also matters a lot, what individuals they came from. But because they're confined, that's why their maintenance has to be at a very high level. Mm-hmm. When dogs are loose, they move around more. So they're not settled in one spot. They're not stationary. That's why you see these cur dogs on the street. They're running around loose. COVID don't bother them. They don't get parvo. Right. They have litters, 12, 13 pups in a litter. They all live. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do because of that freedom that they have.
The exposure to
so
stuff.
They're exactly. And they're not settled in one place where, I mean, if they're around fleas, they just get up and move away. Mm-hmm. Our dogs, because they have to be confined, or any dog that has to be confined, they don't have that luxury. They're stuck with it. Mm-hmm. And just to mention, I'm doing a series right now. I started off preparing a female for breeding / whelping. Then I'll go into the whelping part and then raising pups and all that. But preventative maintenance was one of my main sources because at that time we didn't have a lot of access to meds. I didn't. Other people did. But I didn't have a lot of access to meds and illegal drugs and stuff. So you have to just kind of wing it like farmers do. That's how I grew up. So We took care of the cattle, pigs, whatever it was. And there, you can buy dewormer, you could buy antibiotics back then, you could buy Combiotic or penicillin, but you couldn't get stuff like moxicillin or Baytril. You
Right.
couldn't get the heavy drugs. So you basically, how you take care of them and raise them will reflect on them later as an adult. And we've talked about epigenetics and all that. And also animal husbandry. If anybody, I implore people, get books on animal husbandry. People ask, well, what's that? Animal husbandry, that's breeding. Yeah, it's breeding, it's upkeep, it's maintenance, it's parasite control, it's a lot. It's basically the upkeep, breeding, raising, feeding, care, whatever, of any animal. And there's all different kinds. There's on chickens and goats and all this. So it encompasses a lot. And now they have a scientific word for it, which is epigenetics. As far as how you raise your animals, does that have an influence on them? Yeah, it does. We kind of knew that, and I knew that just growing up with a bunch of different animals. How you maintain them, take care of them, what you feed them. And I mentioned this in other places. I'll do it here just because I have the opportunity.
Okay.
A lot of times females have problems, or just dogs in general. Why do they eat their own crap? Why are they eating grass? Why do females kill their pups? There's different reasons, especially with the females. It could be that, especially with pit bulls, you have to isolate them, in my opinion, anyways. They have to be isolated, taken away from everything, either outside. Don't have them around any other dogs, or inside your house in a separate room or in a basement like people do, because certain things will trigger them. And if they get worked up, they're going to take it out on their pups sometimes. Some don't, most won't, but some will. The other thing is nutrition. If they don't have the proper nutrition, sometimes they'll eat their own pups, or they'll eat anything, even their own crap. And that wasn't an issue with people before, meaning they didn't even think about stuff like that. We all heard the stories. You feed old Roy, you feed, Purina and like that. And the dogs did good on it. Yeah, they did. But were they really healthy? Not really. They died younger than they do now. They had skin problems. And when you talk about the competition in the past, yeah, they did good in competition. Why? Because you improve their diet for the keep.
Mm-hmm.
So they got nutrition then, but nutrition is a lifelong process.
Right.
And dogs are actually healthier nowadays than they were back in the day.
Really?
They may have been more durable back then. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be one difference. They were tougher because of how they lived and how they were brought up and what they had to go through. But their longevity was less, and their overall health was less. And that's where you'll see it in females that are pregnant, lactating, and whelping pups.
Okay, good point. Good point. I didn't know that. So you're gonna do that series on whelping and next. So great. Everybody, make sure y'all watch that over there, because people have been asking for that. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about some of it here.
Let's do it, because I got about 3 people calling me about it. If you want to go over,
I mean, why not? I brought it up, and I don't. Everything isn't exclusive to my channel. I'll talk about the same thing on my channel, your channel, anybody else's channel. I just want the information out there.
That's right.
And I'm here to help. That's one of my catchphrases I tell everybody. I'm here to help. That's what I do. I enjoy it, and I understand people that want information. A lot of times you can't get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody told me nothing back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what it feels like. So I do what I can in that regard.
Right. Okay.
So
let's okay, yeah. If you want to talk about a little bit of it, for as whelping the puppies, how should you be prepared to get ready for the whelp?
Right. So first thing is have your female nutritionally balanced. Some people back in the day used to use prenatal vitamins for women, for humans.
Mm-hmm.
They basically, the 2 important things that they need more of is iron and calcium. So I used to give goat's milk. I advise not using whole cow's milk. That came from my vet years ago. I had 2 dogs come up with pancreas problems and they weren't producing enzymes in their pancreas. And he asked me, did you feed them milk? I said, yeah, I had powdered milk, whole cow's milk. He said, don't do that. It's not good for dogs.
Mm.
Use goat's milk. So that's why I started using goat's milk. It's
Okay.
better. So we increased the feed a little bit, but I also added the goat's milk, beef, and a little bit of liver for the iron, B12, B6 benefits that they provide. You can use chicken, you can use fish, but beef is better as far as the iron content. And calf's liver is the best liver to use because of all the vitamins and minerals it has, plus the extra iron.
Mm-hmm.
And then regular exercise too. It's kind of like if you look at women, nowadays they tell them, get up and walk around when you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Exercise a little bit. Don't stress yourself, but stay active. So with the female that you're preparing to breed, put a little weight on them, give them regular exercise, because there's that old term, healthy fat is good fat, or whatever the thing is. So even if you're heavy, if you move around a lot, that extra fat, extra weight is not so strenuous on your body as opposed to just sitting around not doing nothing.
That's right.
So it's the same thing with females. Then you have to get your area prepared. Where are you going to do it? And that's why I say that isolation is important.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in your house, I didn't want nothing around them, because dogs get worked up and they start jumping and hollering, moving around, or being aggressive with each other on the chain, even if they're 20 feet away from each other. The female will pick up on that, even if she's pregnant, so she could injure herself if it's late in the gestation period. She could, start chewing stuff, chew her house and get splinters, chew on wire, poke herself, cut herself, poke her eye, all this stuff, just because of that. They want to vent somehow because they're getting agitated. They're being triggered. And after they have their pups, like I said, I've seen perfectly good mothers kill their pups. Well, why did they do that? These pups are already 2 months old. Why are they killing them? They got hyped up. They got worked up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to take it. That other instinct is going to kick in, and they're going to take it out on the pup. So I advise isolation to some degree, and having your feed set, and having the place as clean as you can. And I'll just give my setup. People can take it however they want. I used a 4x4 gondola used for grapes, picking grapes. So it's 4x4. And depending on the weather, I didn't have anything on the surface. No rug, no papers, no this and that. If it was colder and they had to be like springtime, sometimes it's cold at night in springtime, because in the wintertime we'd bring them in and we had a spot in our pantry where they have their pups.
Mm-hmm.
But if I did put anything down, it would be newspapers. They're easy to clean. They're non-toxic. Their pups won't get stuck under there. Like if you're using a rug or you're using towels or whatever, they won't smother themselves. The female won't actually step on them or lay on them because she don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
So I advise using newspaper. It's cheap. It's effective. The printers don't bother them. And that space is enough room for them to cuddle up with their mom and spend their time. When the pups are asleep, she has a 2 or 3 feet space where she can just get up, move, and get away from them and just relax. Also, there's a door just like a doghouse. She can get out and get away from them or give herself a break. And the area I had outside was enclosed. It was like a shed, about a 20 by 20 shed with wire fence on the front and a door to go in and out with the lock on it. So she can actually get away from the pups, go to the bathroom. Because if you confine them so tight, even in a kennel run,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to piss and crap right there.
Yeah.
So they're in it all the time. She's going to step in it. She's going to lay in it. If you don't have it clean, that's where you see these females with mastitis come up. It's an infection in their teats. Kills the milk, could kill the pups. You're gonna have to hand feed them and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want mastitis, but if you have the area clean, it's never going to happen. And if she has the ability to get up, move away, get away from them, come back in, clean up the pups like that, but she's not going to the bathroom in that particular area,
Mm-hmm.
like a kennel, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did, which a lot of people don't do, because a lot of females, when they're having pups, they get, and right after they have pups, especially, they get real defensive. They can get real protective.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want nobody messing with them, nobody bother them. But with us, it was always a family thing. So we spent a lot of time with them. So during this gestation period, the kids are playing with her, the kids are messing with her. My wife's helping her clean and getting everything ready. They'll start nesting, right? Just like women do. Pick their spot where they want to do their thing. My wife would notice it. Okay, you want to be in this corner. Okay, that's your spot. Clean that up, get it ready. The dogs sit there and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the fact of spending that time with them and having the kids around them. As long as they ain't too loud and noisy and not destructive, like that. Don't bother them, right? Just be calm. Treat them like you would your wife. Sometimes they need alone time, especially after they have the pups. So once they're having the pups, my wife could be in there, or me, and even the kids, if they were quiet, while they're delivering pups in case they need help. Maybe they can't get a bag off, or maybe this one is not stimulated to go to the bathroom, or this one, you have to put it on the teat so it'll eat. A lot of that stuff is natural, it's nature, but it don't hurt to help them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But if your females ain't accustomed to having the family around, a dog that don't bite will bite you because they're so protective.
Yeah.
So we always did that. We never had a problem. They actually enjoyed it. It was like, thank you for help. I got all these kids to take care of. I need help. Kind of like that. They give you that look.
Right. Right. I'm
So
so
once
glad
once
you
the
said that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So once that's set, they still need that quiet time. That's another reason for having them isolated, and it needs to be cleaned all the time. And the pups will go to the bathroom, they'll lay in it, roll around in it, and all that. So you might have to physically get in there with handy wipes or something, wipe them down, clean them off.
Mm-hmm.
Use something with alcohol on it to wipe the female's teats. It'll dry. By the time the pups are hungry again, if you do it directly right after they eat, and you wipe her down with alcohol, or even, I don't know, if you want to use betadine or what's that stuff called? I forgot. I'll think of it. By the time it's time to eat again, they're all dried off.
Yeah.
And if you use alcohol, you can use alcohol, wipe it, and then get a towel with water on it, wipe it, warm water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're good to go again.
Another thing too, guys, is check the tits. Squeeze them, make sure the milk coming out, make sure there's no hardness. Sometimes they get mastitis, at least in our breed, man. But I'm so glad you said it about the kid part, having them in there, being quiet, letting her get used to, because that's the last thing you want is an accident like that. Your child going in, that don't really not familiar with your dog while she got puppies.
And you have to teach the kids how to be. The high pitched noise can bother some dogs. Just that high pitch, it sets them off.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to teach them be quiet. And they kind of get it. Kids will get it. Oh, they're having a baby. Quiet. Don't make a lot of noise. She needs help. They'll sit there and pet her while she's delivering. Just sit there real quiet, pet her, soothe the dog. You're bonding with them.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a friend for life, and that dog will protect your kid when necessary. All this stuff. They have a companion to go play with. Mine used to sit out there on their chain area and have tea set parties with them and shit. Painting their nails. You got these supposedly game dogs, tough dogs, and they got pink nail polish on their nails because the kid's playing with them. Right. So there's a lot of benefit to it.
Mm-hmm.
And once they're whelped, then they need that quiet time. They need care and all that, and they need after a couple of weeks is when I started deworming. I dewormed the pups. I dewormed the female. And another thing, before we bred them, the part of the prep was to deworm them and give them a shot of antibiotic, just combiotic, just in case they have any infection, slight infection. Sometimes their uterus get an infection, And
when did you worm them? Right after you bred them, or during the? Because I know some people that worm while she's, full term. You know what I mean?
Yeah. About 10 days out.
10 days out. Yeah, I got a lot of breeder friends that argue with me about that, but that's something my vet recommend, about 10 days out. And then what we normally do, I know some people that do 2, 4, 6, but if we worm the female 10 days out, usually we not really have to worm them to about 6 weeks. That's how we do it. But I know most people do 2, 4, 6.
I mean, it's this way with everything, because you're going to get debate, you're going to get argument, people have their opinion or they have their own experience.
Mm-hmm.
However you do it, if it works for you, can't nobody argue.
Yeah.
How are you going to argue with somebody? So however you do it, if you get good effects from it or good results, don't matter what anybody says. Mm-hmm. It's proven to you to work. Mm-hmm. Could you change it if you want? Yeah, change it and see. Try it different time. But basically, about 10 days out, we dewormed them. Same thing. Give them a shot of combiotic just to clean them out a little bit. They need plenty of water. Water is what makes milk. And then about 2 weeks after the pups were born, because I like to have them a little bit of age on them before I deworm them. They had a little puppy dewormer for roundworms. That's what they usually get, roundworms. Mm-hmm. Hit the mother up with that, hit the pups, each one. And then just whatever your deworming schedule is. And I didn't deworm my dogs a lot. The adults, I only did it twice a year with Panicure and Dronsit. Again, that's part of the preventative maintenance. Now people are pushing, you should deworm them once a month. And for me, that's too much chemical. Man. Yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm a chemical guy. I have no problem using chemicals around dogs if you use them properly.
Right.
Like if you're going to use, part of the cleaning process was using Clorox. So I would remove a dog, in this case, a bitch with pups, remove them, put them in another room or put them in a different space. We had those big wire kennels. I don't know what they are, 3x3 or whatever, and about 2 or 3 feet tall or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just set them in there for a couple hours. Go in there with the Clorox, spray it. I wouldn't advise putting Clorox on wood because it soaks into the wood and it's not good for it. It messes up.
Yeah.
But under the house, around it, all their area, let it dry and then spray it with water. And we did that about once a week. Even dogs on the chain, even spraying the dirt. So once a month, we would turn the dirt over in their chain spot, do the Clorox thing first, then turn the dirt over, do the Clorox thing again, wait for it to dry, then spray it down with water, dilute it with water. And that was once a month we did that. And also we deloused them with 7 dust, put it on the dog, put it in their house. And then once a week, we just did the regular Clorox thing like that. So it's a lot of work, but that's that preventative maintenance.
That's right.
They have to have a high immune system. They have to be healthy. They have to have the proper nutrition. People don't like supplementing their dog. I give them the dog food or I give them food. That's fine. Just make sure you give them enough and the right stuff where you cover all the vitamins and minerals and trace elements that the dog needs, plus the protein, fat, some carbs, like that.
I kind of do something similar to what you do, where I disinfect. I got all my dogs up on wood, like stages, and I do the disinfecting once a week. And my dogs they'll never get sick. Ever
get sick. They won't.
Yeah.
Another thing is if you're feeding them good food and they're clean, their poop don't smell. But the other thing is a dog's breath is not supposed to stink.
Mm,
So that's a tell. If it's supposed to smell like dog, it doesn't smell bad. It's just dog breath. But
mhm,
if it stinks, there's something up. Could be the food, could be something in there. They might have chewed grass and they got a blade of grass that's rotten in their teeth, or could be a piece of food that's rotting in their teeth, or they could have some ailment, an upset stomach from whatever. Could be too much protein. If you overdo the protein, what'll happen is their urine generally, like if you take your dog out or you go in the morning, you see a dog piss, it's kind of dark because they've been sleeping on it. So it comes out yellow. Then during the day, later on, even in the evening, it'll clear up. You give them too much protein, it doesn't clear up, stays dark.
mm,
And then when they crap, the crap, they have diarrhea, and it'll turn green. It could be too much protein, and green diarrhea could also be giardia. So
mm.
one of the things I mentioned in a different chat, I think it was on the twins, is there's a lot of things available that we can use to test our dogs. You can test your own dog's stool if you learn how to do it. Get a microscope and learn how to do it.
That's right.
You can buy a blood tester to check your blood count. They're anywhere from $25 to $50. You can do it yourself. Learn how to do it yourself, and it gives you 2 counts on it. Gives you
Right.
the HCP and the other one, whatever it is. You can some people use pH tests for different. It's just there's a lot more available to the public now that you can use, and I am tell people learn all that stuff if you can. You can do it yourself. We didn't have that benefit, so we had to pay attention to the dog. We had to pay attention to their stool, pay attention to their piss, check their gums, check their eyes, check their nose. Their eyes should be clear, kind of watery. Their nose should be wet. Gums should be pink. If they're white, you have a problem. They have an infection, or they're anemic or something. You can do a blood count on your dog in your dog's mouth. And that's real simple. If you take your finger and press on the gum and or a moisture count, not a blood count, but a moisture count.
Right.
Just like you see people that pull on the skin, let it go and then it drops, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do that in their mouth. You press on the gums, and you know how when you press on it, it turns white, right? And then the color comes back. You count that when the color comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So you press on it, 1, 2, 3, the color comes back, you're good.
Yeah.
It takes longer, then you might have a problem.
Right.
So,
what are your thoughts on raw diet?
I never used it. I cook my food.
Okay.
That's another misconception. People think you cook out all the nutrients. You don't. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of people that use raw. I have a friend that used raw. Even back in the day, they were using raw 30 years in keep. Dogs look good.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think there's any one way to feed them. I don't think one is better than the other, even though I'll get an argument all day long from it. What you need is a balanced diet and testing your product and testing your dogs to see the results of what you're giving them. And if it works, you do it any way you want. Raw is not new. Harry Clark or one of them guys, this is back in the 20s and 30s. He owned a grocery store. He fed his dogs raw way back then. And I'm sure he wasn't the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not nothing new. It's just more popular now.
Right.
Is it better for the dogs? It could be. But also there's a lot of crap in food. So what are you feeding them? You almost can't get away from it.
Yeah,
okay, organic, right? Okay, organic what? What's organic? I mean,
right.
These are all trying to trigger words to make you buy this or buy that.
Yeah.
And we know meat has this in it and that in it, and they have to do this and that, all this junk. And so I don't know what's good, but I know if your dogs are healthy and they have a good immune system, you can feed them almost anything. It don't matter.
That's right. Yeah.
And when you have kids like I did that spend that much time with the dog, they're going to give them everything. Whatever the kid's eating, the dog going to eat it.
Yeah,
it don't matter if it's Doritos or salad or salsa, or give them a piece of tortilla and all that. So your dogs have to be healthy to be able to deal with that. It's kind of like children. when we were kids, and probably you too, you play in the mud, you eat the mud, you play in this crap and junk, and you got shit all over. You know what I mean? Your parents let you do that because they knew that helped with your immune system. Now, if you want the kids pristine and all that, and don't touch this and don't do that, then the kid's sick all the time.
Right.
He doesn't have a good immune system.
That's right.
So that's how I looked at it with the dogs. You have to let them suffer a little bit that way, and they don't get sick that much. They don't, other than the parvo that hit and the coronavirus that hit, and now they have babesia and all that. You can't really do nothing about that except try and prevent it.
Right.
But they shouldn't be getting sick.
Yep, you're right. Salute JD. JD, salute Buck City Kennels live.
Buck City's
in the house. Salute Heart and Finish Kennels. Yeah, man, I feed my dogs a little raw after they drop those puppies. It just seems to help them bounce back faster. But let me tell you something. So I don't know if you saw, I did an interview with a veterinarian, and it's coming out next week. He told me some interesting things about feeding raw. He said they got a study out now that they finding out that some dogs are building up a antibiotic resistance, and it's mostly found in dogs that eat raw.
Okay.
Probably because of the meat already having antibiotics in it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be, or it could be the meat has bacteria in it, and over time the dog's looking to fight it off. So their immune system is building it that way.
That's another.
And I say I didn't feed my dog raw, but they fed raw on their own. Mm-hmm. So any critter they got you, any squirrel, any rabbit, any possum, any gopher, if they got it, they ate it. So they had, if my dogs caught a chicken, they ate the whole thing, feathers and all. Yeah, they'd be bloated like that. And you see feathers around. Oh, I guess they got a chicken. If it was a snake, the only thing you got to worry about is poisonous snakes and toads, really. Mm-hmm. But anything else, fair game, man. Yeah, I've been walking out with my dog. One time I was with a female, and there was a hole in the ground. She jumped in the hole and pulled the possum out, killed it and ate it. I just sat there and let her eat it. Another dog, I had him in keep, and we were walking through some tall grass, and he stopped, and he leaped into the grass and pulled a gopher out of that it saw, I guess. Just swallowed it. Yeah. So I didn't feed my dogs raw, but they got raw. Yeah. And then if we had scraps, fat or something like that, I just give it to them. Yeah. I give them raw bones, beef bones, Yeah. So it wasn't like I fed them raw or didn't. On their own, they got it. Sometimes we would give it to them. But I just had that from my upbringing. Whatever we give you, you eat it. That's what's for dinner. That's this and that. You eat all kinds of different stuff and leftovers and all that. Eat crappy food and good food and healthy food and junk food. Mm-hmm. Eat everything. And if you're active, this is the way I was taught when I was young by my dad. If you're active, you'll burn all that stuff. Your body will use it. So that's kind of how I looked at it with my dogs. Mm-hmm. I wasn't so much, they said raisins are bad for dogs. I don't doubt it.
They say
one time I gave my chocolate too, milk chocolate. Yeah. Not dark chocolate, but milk chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah. But I gave my dogs a crap load of raisins. It didn't bother them, Yeah. So maybe over time, if you feed it, it could have an effect. I don't doubt it. But it's just, I like to think that my dogs were tough, and the way they were raised and whatever they ate made them tough, helped them to be tough. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really see any bad effects from whatever it was they got.
You was talking about watching those snakes. You ever dealt with a snake bite?
No.
I'm gonna give
the reason I laugh is because I don't want to be too graphic. Okay. But in our yard, we eradicated everything. Yeah. Nothing. Nothing around. If something came from outside the yard and got in there, and if we had an area, there was a empty lot about 40 acres, I would take my dogs there, and it was filled with squirrels. So if they caught a squirrel there, they eat it. But it was mostly for exercise. They'll sit and they'll dig 1, 2, 3 hours, however long you're there. But our area, I didn't even have birds around my dog. There was no snakes, no rats, no gophers, no nothing.
They clean it, yeah.
You need to clean it because birds, you get coccidia.
Yeah.
So we didn't have birds in the trees. People, they look at, it's nature and all that. Not around my dogs. Not a one. Just for that preventative maintenance that I talk about over and over and over again.
I tell you what, man. I got a wood line around me, so at night sometimes the coyotes around and sound like Civil War. I got deer, I got armadillos and things. So copperheads we got a lot of. But if anybody ever deal with that snake bite before you go pay that $1,500 a vet, just Google you some Benadryl and aspirin. Trust me.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because it's not usually enough to kill a dog. What kills the dog is they can't breathe.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So that's why you use the Benadryl, and they need a painkiller and maybe a blood thinner like aspirin. It's like home remedies. A lot of them are very effective.
Right.
But if you wait too long, and you don't do nothing, your dog could die from a snake bite.
That's true. Yeah. That's why we had to come get you over here for some of that knowledge. People, talk about it all the time. He said, "Man, I got a cousin in a pit bulldog, but he's been about a 30-year Corso breeder." And talk about if you want the real true knowledge, you got to go to the game dog dudes. You got to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or even a farmer, because we had to take care of a lot of the stuff ourselves. Part of it is because some of the drugs are illegal. Part of it is you can't be taking them dogs looking like that to the vet. They're obligated by law to talking about the path. They're obligated to report you.
Yeah.
The other thing is expensive. And most dog people in general are just regular working people.
That's right.
We don't have that kind of money to do that. Even when we were on a farm, my dad worked for a real large agricultural company. So we had cattle. They weren't our cattle, but they were our cattle because we took care of it. We had about 300 head.
Wow. Okay.
So every spring, when the new calves come in, you're going to castrate them, you're going to deworm them, you're going to vaccinate them, and the older ones, you're going to dehorn them, you're going to brand the calves, you're going to cut the ear. You cut the ear to make your own mark, right? So it's an X or Y, or you cut the tip, whatever your brand is. You cut the ear. So that's part of the mark. So we had to do all that. In all them years that we did that, we only had a vet come out one time because we had a breech birth. The cow had a breech birth. And by the time the vet got there, it was too late. We lost the calf. We lost the cow. Again, I don't want to be graphic, but they knew that we might lose the cow. And once she died, they didn't want to lose the calf. And we tied the back legs of the calf, chain to it, and tried to pull it out with a tractor. The cow ended up dying, and they wanted to save the calf. They actually took a hacksaw to the cow after she died. Try and by the time we got to it, it's dead anyways. But it's just, the point is it's expensive, and a lot of this stuff you have to do it yourself.
That's right.
Some of the stuff you need a vet. We don't know everything.
Right. We coming in up on about 10 minutes from an hour. If you guys got any questions for Schoolboy while we got them, now's a good time. Star Dog Shepherds. I like that. Can be the source of toxoplasma. Okay, wait a minute. He had a message before that. A bird that falls in your yard is a source of toxoplasma. Hey, brother, I didn't make straight A's in school.
Yeah, toxoplasmosis.
Okay, boy. Because I'm from Arkansas.
I'm there with you. I don't know what it means, but now I'll look it up. So I learned something. Thanks for teaching me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this is Diamond Grit. Hey, Schoolboy, this dude is here. He's pretty impressive. He's a hog hunter down there.
All right.
Florida, I think. I lost a really good dog to a coral snake bite. Very rare, but very highly toxic neurological effect.
Yeah, a coral snake They don't have big fangs like a rattler does, or like a cobra. They have small teeth, but they're probably, I don't know, 5-10 times more toxic than a rattlesnake bite. So I would say you have maybe a 15-minute, half-hour window to do something about it.
Wow.
There ain't, with a coral snake, there ain't much you can do, really.
Yeah.
They'd have to have a anti-venom for coral snake bite. You'd have to get them to the vet or the hospital real quick. People too, same thing. They're very deadly. They're rare, but it's like a black mamba, and you don't last too long.
Yeah, yeah. Schoolboy, since we pretty much in it, we're finna go into the dead heat of summer. You got tips for everybody out there on housing and whatnot to keeping these dogs good through the summer heat?
Make sure they have plenty of shade. And we always use straw for our dog house. In the summertime, that's when you can use the cedar chips. So it's not so hot. It'll help keep the bugs away. And with that cleanup, it's like anybody who's had a refrigerator. You buy a new refrigerator, you take the old one out, and there's all this crap under there because you never move your refrigerator. That's what happens with the dog house. Your whole area might be clean, and then you move the dog house out of the way, and there's black widows there, and there's worms, and all kinds of crap. So that's part of the cleaning too. You got to move the dog house, clean under there, spray for spiders, worms, all that stuff. And what we did is, because some of my dogs were destructive, or just in general, we used stainless steel pans. So during the summer, we didn't leave water there. We actually had to go out 3 or 4 times a day and water the dog. And then I would spray the area with water just to keep the dust down. Not really to make them cold, because once that water evaporates, it gets kind of humid. But I didn't realize at the time that humidity helped my dogs. So when I sent dogs to the South Pacific, the guys would tell me, "Hey, your dogs do good in this heat, in this muggy weather. We got dogs from other people, they don't do that good. They can't take it." I said, "Well, mine kind of just," without even realizing it, I kind of prepped them for that. So we sprayed their area to keep the dust down and watered them 3 or 4 times a day. You actually go out there, each dog, let them drink water, take it away, come out again a couple hours later, like that. But shade is the most important thing. And you want to make sure, if you got a chain set up, you want to make sure the chain don't get bound up so they don't get heat stroke. And if you have one that is very active, that might be the type that you put inside a kennel.
Right.
So they don't have that much area to move around in.
Right. A good chain is a nice workout for a dog, huh?
Yeah. Plus, they have more freedom of movement. They have more surface area to move around. The chain setup, collar, and all that hookup has been around for thousands of years. Literally. Go back to ancient Sumeria and Egypt. They'll show you chain or tethering and collar hooks up made out of leather, wire, all kinds of stuff for dogs. There's what do you call them? Artifacts.
Right.
So it's not a new concept. And the way I look at it, somebody way before me figured out that was a good way to contain dogs. And now it's looked at like cruel.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. It's actually the least cruel way to confine dogs. Kennels are great. They're nice. They're necessary. Sometimes they're better in some circumstances for certain dogs. But that's a confined area. It's like being in a jail cell, and they know they're confined. And it could play on their psyche.
Right.
And one thing I want to get into real quick before we go is, I brought this up before, even in one of my videos, is the trauma that a dog goes through, or having a traumatic effect, can trigger certain parts of their DNA, and that's what come out when you breed them. I'm not saying that it changes the DNA, but if there's something negative inside them, and they have a traumatic event, whether it's fear, whether it's injury, or whatever it is, it can change the dog itself, how it behaves and acts. You know, they may be skittish and timid, scared, or whatever. When you breed them, that stuff's going to come out.
Yeah, it passes to the
Before,
baby.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than more of the good stuff you're looking. That's my opinion. And I've read a little bit on it. I'm not that well versed in it, but I guarantee you, if somebody looks it up, researches it, it's going to have something that correlates to that.
Oh man, I read
It's
it.
like,
I've read about it in humans. I'm not going to discuss what I read about it, but
okay, yeah, like me too. That's where I get a lot of my stuff from.
Right.
Just like all this stuff I talk about, the maintenance, upbringing, all that.
Yeah.
It affects how the dog behaves and the end result and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that years ago, and I'm sure a lot of people knew it. Now they call it epigenetic. They just put a word to it. So what I tell people, a lot of stuff you're doing, there's a scientific name for it, and there's a process, and there's research done on it. But you're the researcher. You're the one who did the work, and you understand. That's why you read this stuff. Oh yeah, my dog does that. Oh yeah, I know what that means. I can understand what I'm reading because you went through it already. We just didn't have a name to put on it. And we're the ones that test everything. We're the scientists. We're Mother Nature in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be real educated. Not that education ain't good. And I advise people to learn as much as you can, all the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Breed's always evolving. There's always new stuff coming out. It's good to learn. But don't think your layman ways of doing stuff isn't effective, and that's a learning process too.
Yeah, because you guys have tested it. You
Exactly.
you put your hands on it. You know, that's kind of like in today's time, we got a lot of that going on. Like in sports, it's a lot of analytics and things like that, and it has its place, but sometimes it don't correlate to when you put a man out on the floor. He might hype everybody up. You know, let's get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can't read spirit and things like that, emotions. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's
and again, that's a good point because, like I said, we didn't have a lot of this stuff. So what you had to do was read your dog, learn dog, learn that particular individual compared to another one and how they're all different. What effects does this have on it? How intelligent are they? How quick do they learn? What can you teach them? How do they work? What works better for them? What's a better feed? Some, and that's why I say there's no best. You might like your dogs on chicken. Another guy might like his on beef. Another one like his on fish, whatever. And now that the dog's worldwide, people in other countries, they don't feed what we feed.
That's right. Yeah.
They gotta have healthy dogs.
Right.
Maybe they're feeding them monkeys and lizards. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people, even pit bull people, they use squirrel, they use rabbit, they use deer, horse meat. Mm-hmm. The divines fed horse meat. They were horsemen. Mm-hmm. So they had all these extra horses. Why not? Mm-hmm. Their dogs were good.
That's right.
Yeah. So as long as the source of whatever it is you're using is good, it can be good for your dog.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and even with the dogs, you might think, well, I'm gonna run them all chicken through them, and no, this dog might not agree with this. This
might not agree with it.
Everything got to be tested, don't it, Schoolboy?
Yeah. And not just one or two times. It's over a period of time. If I change my dog's food to a different food, or I add a different supplement that they're not used to, I gave them 3 months before I say, okay, this stuff is good. Right. This is effective or not. Mm-hmm. Because there could be things along the way they could react. It could loosen their stool up or whatever. It's not a quick thing. It has to be done over time with multiple animals. Try different things. Same thing with a keep. You got to test it. Everything.
That's right.
And then you can kind of figure out what is the problem. Just like I said with the high protein. Is it high protein too much, or is it giardia, or is it some stomach ailment, or do they have renal failure or something like that? I just had a friend. His female died. He didn't know. She just had massive renal problem and died. He didn't know she only had one kidney.
Oh wow! Yeah,
you know, it happens.
Yeah. Well, I've seen people relinquish dogs they paid 1,000 to 2,500 for, all because they got the latest popular trending breed, but they didn't know what they were getting themselves into. That's coming off that last comment about yesterday. A dog trainer posed a question to the interviewers: "What car would you pick, and what would you have inside?" 9 out of 10 people selected Connie Corso, highlighting need for education. It ain't for everybody. that dog, that dog ain't for everybody. I'm gonna tell you right now. That's
No.
why I had to
Same
limit.
with
Yeah.
same with the. I would say that about any active breed, any sporting or working dog. It's not for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and it should be a dog particular to your needs. If
Yeah.
you're going to use it for that function,
Right.
if you don't, or a breed stops being used for a function, that's the downfall of that particular breed.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too, because like I had a buddy of mine get a dog for me off this particular female, and she with it, she with the shit. You know what I mean? And her son is too. So he's like, man, this dog won't let nobody walk up on me. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
Protective thing. I'm like, that's what he supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, yeah.
he wanted a couch, kind of like a couch potato, kind of, just a big beautiful dog. But we got through it, with training and things like that. And
Right.
man, he loved that dog, man, because he actually put the dog in uh situations where where you have to socialize the dog with. Is he good with kids? Is he good around getting control of them? Yeah, he don't like strangers. My mom got a course, so if it's somebody coming to the house, she don't know, she gonna try to tear that crate down and get at him. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? So yeah,
You you have to understand, especially in that situation, the dog understands who's supposed to be there,
Mm-hmm.
who lives there, and if it's a frequent relative or friend, over time, okay, this dude's cool, this person's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they're bred for protection. So if you don't live there, you don't belong there, the dog's going to react. That's what you want him to do. You don't want him to accept everybody, because if somebody breaks in your house, you
Mm-hmm.
want him to take care of that problem.
Yep, that's
So
right.
it's a process. And
Yeah.
who's coming over your house anyway? We got all these people, strangers coming over anyway. You know what I mean?
Right. So I had I got old Central Asian Shepherd out of there, and I ain't gonna say who it was, but my wife was back there, and she was back there messing with the dogs, and that Shepherd ran that young lady up out of that backyard.
Yeah.
Nipping in the butt. Get out of here. They just don't like.
Yeah.
They don't like.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't like straight. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I ain't no point when you look at it. And my people be like, "Oh Lord, should I get rid of this dog? She did what she's supposed to do."
Supposed
Thank
to
you,
do.
Dark Star Bulldog. Salute to you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people can
Schoolboy.
relate to this too. They've had
Mm-hmm.
dogs that are cool. They may be in a crate or whatever, and your friend or relative comes over and the dog reacts negatively. I'd be
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to that dog. How come he don't like my friend? What's on my friend's mind? Supposed to
Right.
be my friend. He's okay
Uh-huh.
with everybody else. Why this one? A dog's telling
Yeah.
you something, man. They can smell
It
it.
sure is. Yeah. They know, don't
Yeah,
they? Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. I know one day my my air condition kind of came had some issues, and the company we use, my wife like, man, these folks like some tweakers. And she said them dogs about to tear the fence down. Yeah, because they kind of sketchy, you know what I'm saying? So you can't get mad at the
Exactly.
dog. I appreciate the damn dog, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Those people are putting off that air,
yeah,
that aura. Maybe they were looking at your wife the wrong way.
they might have been,
Who
yeah.
knows?
Yeah, yeah. So
Hey,
I definitely appreciate it. Them damn dogs, boy, because I grew up in a neighborhood where we had to have them. Then I grew up
had
in
to
a
have them.
one time I had broke up with this girl. I guess she was used to kicking me out so much. So this one time she thought I was gonna go back to my mama's house. I was like, nah. So I just got the first thing smoking. I'm talking about I'm in the hood. I mean, it's Martin Luther King, you in the hood. That's not in the street. Boy, hey, the first night I spent the night over there, I think I had people smoking crack on the porch, right? I said, I'm gonna get me a dog in this bad ass neighborhood. They said, you better not get a dog over here. I said, well, I can't get a dog. Man, they said they'd kill that dog so fast. It makes so much noise and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that has happened to me where I didn't know. I had a neighbor one time. He was low key slanging, and he always had a problem with the dog we had in the back. And then one day she just kind of came up dead because even though you can't see it, they can. She barking at the bill. So why do you gotta be out 3 a.m. all the time in that back house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a dog poisoned one time, I think for that reason, by a neighbor. It didn't like it for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Schoolboy, I think we're gonna wrap this up because I know we both got stuff to
All right.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Always good, brother. We'll do it again anytime you want to.
Man, we definitely at least want you here. Try to get you here every other week, definitely twice a month. I think that'll be a great thing for the community. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah. We'll make our own little series.
Yeah. Let's do it. Hey, and tell the people how to get to you and drop your cash app in there.
Okay.
We appreciate you.
My cash app is the $ Schoolboy. What is it? I think it's $ Schoolboy 60.
Let me see.
Damn, I forgot. Anyways, you can get a hold of me on Facebook Messenger, Instagram, or my email, richardjschoolboy60@gmail.com.
Right.
If you want any merch or got a question or whatever it is. But what's my cash app?
Man, I don't know, man. Hold on, let me check.
Okay.
Let me look.
I don't know. My daughter's school baby take care of all that stuff.
I was hesitant to type it, so I said somebody might get some change that ain't theirs. Hold on, let me type it in there so everybody will know. we appreciate this, man. You retired too, Schoolboy.
Yeah.
So
this is what I do.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure. Hey, ain't no nation like a donation. Y'all take care of them. And I just dropped it in there. Schoolboy 2023. Money
there
sign
you go.
Schoolboy 2023. Ain't no nation like a donation. The creators, salute. Big fan, sir. Say my name. He want me to say his name. Okay. Chuck Charles, big love and traveling grace to all. All right, guys. Well, I hope y'all have a good weekend. I'm looking forward to the fight with Deontay Wilder and Zane. Okay.
Bam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Peace.
All right, peace.